Hello, Adam. It's so nice to have you on the show today. How are you doing?
Elijah, it's great to be here with you. I appreciate you having me on.
Beautiful. And thank you so very much for being here, my man. You see, I truly appreciate you. And you see, Adam, oftentimes I love to thank my guests for two things. And I do this so often to the point where it has become my anthem. So, firstly, my man, I want to say thank you so very much for investing in yourself. You see, Adam, you are on this platform right now because you did invested in yourself. And oftentimes, Adam, I love to make reference to the amazing mango tree. They say some couple of months back, I was on a particular road, and just by the roadside, Adam, there was this very tall, unattractive mango tree. And I used the word unattractive because the mango tree's got no mangoes on it and the leaves were all dry. So I just walked past it and I went my way. But you see, my man, just recently, I was on that same road. And this time around, a lot's changed about the mango tree, you see. The mango tree caught my attention pretty good from a distance. And immediately, I got the urge to move so close to it, of which I did. And it wowed me because now the mango tree's got a lot of mangoes on it, beautiful green leaves and healthy branches. And not just mangoes now, Adam. I'm talking about ripe mangoes. It was such a lovely experience that day, and I was so, so excited. There is my point. The fact that you dedicated your time, energy, and resources to becoming the amazing Adam that you are today, that alone has made it impossible for me to skip here. And that's why you got the request from me to be on the show because I was attracted to the fruit of all that you're doing, your philosophies, your insights, the impact your work is having, and how you are offering your solutions, my man. This stuff's so beautiful. And just before I sent you that request, I said to myself, I've got to benefit from these beautiful things Adam is doing. And not only me now, because, I don't want to look selfish and even with the audience. And here we are today with the amazing Adam. So thank you so very much for doing that to yourself. And secondly, thank you for saying yes to the invite. Because if you had said nope, there was nothing Elisha could do about it. Thanks so much, my man.
Thank you, Elijah. The incredibly kind words. I appreciate all that you do. I appreciate you having me on, and I'm excited to chat with you for a few minutes.
Beautiful. I appreciate you too. So let's get right into it. You see, Adam, I am quite excited to have you on the show today for some reasons. Firstly, my interest in knowledge seeking. I believe in order for one to transition from a terrible situation to that of a beautiful one, Adam, I believe it takes the application of knowledge, quality information, and not just knowledge alone, but the application of it. And you see, my man, ever since I discovered that light in the Hebrew means knowledge and darkness ignorance, I've been so keen to knowledge seeking. Why? Because I do not want to remain in the dark. So that's going to make our conversation today very important to me and even to the listeners. And the second reason I'm excited to have the incredible Adam on the show is for the sake of the audience. You see, Adam, we live in an age where information is as abundant as grains of sand. We've got a lot of information flying out there. So this folks trust me for quality, eye-opening, and very important information, of which I am totally convinced, Adam, that our conversation is going to be insightful and impactful. So for that reason, my man, let's get started with your introduction. Talk to us about your personal or your professional journey, because right now we are so curious. We want to know how Adam got here. Then afterwards, I've gotten some beautiful questions for you. Okay, Adam, my man, over to you.
Sounds great. From my side, I never held a true 9 to 5 job. I started my first company about 3 weeks before I graduated from my MBA program I did at college. And I started my first company. I had that business for about 5 years. I sold that company back in 2019. From there, I worked on a few different real estate developments in the Northeast, primarily in New York, basically buying big chunks of land, chopping it up, and then selling it. And then from there, I started my current business, which is called Email Outreach Company, where we use the power of email to get brands connected with their ideal customers. So
Mm.
we work with stage startups and then some well-known brands like the UFC or like Allstate that want to generate more interest through email. And because of my experience dating back to even my first tech startup, we've been able to do a pretty good job of that. So I spend most of my time working on that business. And the last 3, 4 years, I've been doing it while traveling the world. So I've been also blessed to be able to spend some time in some of the most beautiful places in the world, the most inspiring places, like the south of France, forwards Hawaii, you name it. So it's been a fun ride, and I feel like I'm just getting started.
Yeah, you're just getting started. And it's been a fun ride. I got that. So let us talk about let's begin first with lessons. So, what mistake taught you the most lesson? Got it?
There's a bunch, but I'd say and when I say mistake, I want people to also realize, like you mentioned earlier, the power of action. And the reality is, when you take action, yes, there's times you're going to make the right decision and it's going to go perfect and it's going to go all sunshine and roses. But there's going to be many times when you take action, you're going to make, quote unquote mistakes. And I just had this conversation with my team yesterday because there was a few mistakes that my team made on the same day with the same customer yesterday. And I had to be pretty tough on them. But what I always share with my team whenever we have situations like that is as long as we learn from this mistake, as long as we improve and get better, then the mistake was actually a great thing for us.
Mm,
However, if we get better, then the mistake ends up hurting us. So the key is not about making the mistake. We're all going to make mistakes. We're human. However, it's how do we learn from it? So I'll give everyone just kind of a fun story about a mistake I made and a lesson that can be learned from it. In my first tech startup, we built a platform of about 100,000 student organizations from across the US. And then we would sell into customers like Amazon, Apple, Goldman, Disney, Bank of America, et cetera, that wanted to recruit those students. So one of my roles within that startup as the founder was I had to drum up interest from the students. So I would constantly be emailing student organizations at these universities. And when we were launching our platform, one of the emails I sent happened to be going to Brigham Young University and their student organizations. Anyone who's not familiar with Brigham Young University, it's a Mormon university. And I thought it would be funny to put in the subject line, sign the F asterisk, asterisk, asterisk up. And then in the body of the email, saying, hey, I'm just joking, but here's what we do, ba, ba, ba. So anyway, I write that email. I sent it. I was living in Boston at the time. I was driving back to New York that night to see my mother. And then as I'm driving home, I pulled over. And when I pulled over, I checked my email. And because of what we were giving to the student organizations, we were helping them make money, we were helping them get jobs. It was incredibly rare I ever received a mad email from a student. However, in this case, my inbox was flooded from students basically saying that email wasn't funny, that was
mm,
offensive.
mm,
And anyway, long story short, I took the feedback. I emailed the students back and said, "Hey, you're right. I'm sorry. Here's what I didn't mean the message to come across the way it did. Yada yada yada." The lesson I learned from it was number one, just like anytime you are speaking, they always say, "Know your audience."
mm,
So in that case, the worst audience I could send that to was to Brigham Young University. But the second audience or the second lesson I learned was always be true to yourself. And the reality was that was me taking a shot in marketing, but it wasn't me being fully true to myself and who I am and my brand. So as long as you always understand your audience, whether it's a sales call, a speech in front of 10,000 people, a podcast, you name it, and two, you're true to yourself, you can't fail. But if you fail to do those two things, then yes, you're going to make mistakes.
mm, mm. Know your audience and always be true to yourself. Wow. Thank you for sharing that, my man. I tell you, that's very important. So let's talk about cold email. Is cold email still effective today?
One of the things I constantly hear, Elijah, when I go to a panel, if I'm on a podcast, sales call, you name it, is, hey, Adam, cold email is dead. It's dead. It's dead. And how I respond is typically, yeah, you're right. Cold email is dead if you don't know what you're doing. Because the reality is, it is harder than ever in some ways to do cold email right. It is noisier than ever to do any type of marketing, not just email marketing, any type of marketing right. However, if you know what you are doing, if you can use the latest technology, if you can understand it, if you can understand the latest technology, if you can understand human psychology, email can work just as well, if not better than it ever has. However, you have to do it right. You have to treat it as the art that it is. And if you're lazy, you're not caring about it, you're just throwing stuff out there, it's not going to work for you.
It's not gonna work for you if you're just trying stuff out. Hmm. I think I got that. So what about newsletter? Are they still important?
Yeah, the newsletter side of my business has been a really exciting one over the last now about 2 years, 18 months or so. The I first got into the newsletter world. I bought a because of my life traveling as I build my business, I came across a digital nomad newsletter with about 5,000 subscribers on it. I bought the newsletter with a few other partners. We ended up growing the newsletter from 5,000 subscribers to 250,000 subscribers,
Uh,
and then sold the newsletter within the year. And then from there, we've just continued to either buy or just build and grow these newsletters. I believe in 2026 and beyond, one of the changes of email marketing is you want to nurture your community. You want to own a list. You know, the thing with cold emails, you don't own the list. You're just buying it. You're sending out emails. It's very transactional. But when you own that list like you do with the newsletter, it allows you to share value with that audience, curate a community, get sponsorship dollars. But once you build that audience, once you build that community, there's so much you can do with that. However, a lot of people struggle to understand, how do you grow that community? How do you nurture that community? And how do you make the most of it?
yeah, so I want us to talk about that. So how do we nurture leads, for long term? Any tips on that?
It's got to be around value. Like, one of the biggest problems I see people make with newsletters in general, especially when I talk to brands and look at their newsletter, it's all about them. It's all about me, the brand, versus what does my audience want? Like, what is the value they want to get on my newsletter? Maybe if you're subscribed to a sneaker company, maybe all you care about are deals. Hey, 30% off, 15% off, here's a new release. Maybe that's what you care about. Maybe if you're like my newsletter for my company, we are an email marketing company. In my newsletter, sure, we'll share a podcast I've been on. We'll share sometimes updates we have as a company, but the majority of it is, here's the latest and greatest in the email world. So there's people that are subscribed that most people will never pay me or my company $1, but that doesn't matter. I want to give them as much value as possible so that they, being subscribed to my newsletter, are getting value from me. Whether they pay me or not, it doesn't even matter. I want to give value. And I think if more brands built newsletters with the goal of giving a ton of value to their audience, they would get more subscribers and more engaged subscribers.
Giving value. I got that. I got that. So what should businesses prepare for now?
What should businesses prepare for in 2026 and beyond?
Yeah, that's right.
Well, it's probably the obvious answer at this point, but they say AI won't replace humans, but humans with AI will replace humans without AI. So at the end of the day, whether we like it or not, we all have to learn how to use the power of technology, which is AI, which is automation, but which is also the ability. Like, one of the great things about the world today is, in the old days, even like 10 years ago, you were pretty much limited to talent in your specific area. Now there is so much high quality talent from all over the world. Now, it's not necessarily easy to make those hires. It's not necessarily easy to train those people so that they are operating at the highest level possible. However, if you can learn that skill, how to find great talent from overseas, how to train that talent, how to build systems that the talent can be as effective as possible, there's no better time, especially for a happy entrepreneur, to be able to build a business, bootstrap it, find great talent, use the different AI technologies so that you can replicate yourself. Where in the old days, you used to have to hire five, six, seven, eight people to do a job
Right.
can do, or delegating overseas for a fraction of what it would pay to hire an MIT person to do work for you. So there's a great opportunity for any entrepreneur. It's easier than ever to be an entrepreneur if you know what you're doing, if you know how to use the latest technology that the world has to offer.
What has to offer? I got that. So we have two more to go. So you mentioned being global. So I was curious, how do you manage a global team?
Discipline in systems and accountability. You have to be disciplined, number one, because there's people that you might be on a different time zone. Like when I'm in Hawaii, it's not
Yeah,
necessarily the easiest time zone. If I'm in Europe, it's not necessarily the easiest time zone. Now, my team, they all work on US hours, but you still need to have that discipline. You need to have good systems. Like a lot of people hire just any workers. It doesn't matter if they're overseas or in the US and just expect them to know what to do. And that's not fair to them. So you have to build really strong systems. So the team just has to know I do A and then I do B and then I do C. And then you have to hold them accountable and you have to have measures to hold them accountable because we are humans. There's going to be days where we are on and we do great. There's going to be days where we're not on and we don't do things well. But we can't, if we want to have a high performing organization, we need to hold our team accountable. So those are the three things that I focus on.
I got that. Holding the teams accountable, having a system and discipline. I got that. So to bring this to an end, Adam, I'll take that as a final thought. For folks who like to reach out to you, let more about the wonderful stuff you're doing, or maybe they require services or want to ask you questions. How can that be possible?
You can check out our website at eocworks.com. You can reach out to me on social media. I'm most active on Instagram or LinkedIn at Adam I. Rosen.
Beautiful. So that's going to be the end of the show, my man. Thank you for coming and thank you for sharing this lovely stuff with us. It means a whole lot, man. Thank you.
Thank you, Elijah. Keep up the great work.